Okay, we're picking up first chapter, verse 6 in John's Gospel. The last video was 1 through 5, and now we are being introduced after the prologue is that part with, the Word was with God and was God. That's all the prologue. And then verse 6 introduces us to John. And in the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, he is called John the Baptist. He has that title. But in the Gospel of John, he does not call that. He is only called John. And the baptism piece is more de-emphasized. And what John's gospel emphasizes is John the Baptist, even though he's not called that. This is going to be confusing with all the Johns flying around here. I'm John at St. John's, talking about John the Baptist in John's gospel. But if we can keep them all straight, John the Baptist, not called that, his primary role is as a witness to the light, and that is the important part. So I'm tripping over myself here with all the John definitions here. But let's take a look. So verse 6, there came a man who was sent from God. His name was John. So there's our introduction to John. Verse 7, he came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all men might believe, or all people might believe. Better translation. I'm reading from the NIV, so they use men there, meaning people. But verse 6, right, we get introduced to John, and then we're told he came as a witness. And that word in Greek is the word martyrion. And martyrion has as a root that word martyr. And so we know the word martyr carries with it that sense of sacrifice and giving your life for something. So John's witness, using this word here, is a little foreshadow of what's to come for him. And the word to witness will be carried through John's gospel in many different ways, witnessing to who Jesus is as the light or the word or whatever title that's given, becomes a very important thing for John. John the gospel writer, not John the Baptist. Okay, we're going to go through this again. So he's a martyr to testify. And the word testify is the same, connected to the word witness. So witness and testify kind of function together. So it's a double, right? He came to witness, to testify concerning that light, so that through him all people might believe. So this is the foundation of what the gospel is about. The light or the word, right, or the life, they're all tied together. Who is this one who becomes human? And the witness to that so that people might believe. That's the main thing here. John the gospel is laying it down so we don't miss it. Verse 8, he himself, referring to John the Baptist, he himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. So there's that word martyrion again. The true light, verse 9, that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. And so here's this negative sense of things. We heard that in the prologue, where it was like nothing was made that was not made. Nothing was made through him that was not made, that has been made. That negative sense of stating things that happens. John likes to use that as he writes. So it's a declaration that John is a witness, a martyrion, but he's not the light, right? That's an important part here. And then we talk about the true light is the one that gives light to everyone coming into the world. And then the word world here is cosmos. So it is that bigger sense of things. And I often talk about John's gospel as cosmic, right? In the beginning was the word, that just cosmic sense of things. And here, this light is coming into the world. So the cosmos is more a sense of more than just the planet, right? More than just this world, but this word that made everything, made the entire universe, is coming into it to become a physical part of it. So verse 10, he, referring to Jesus, was in the world, or actually not directly referring to Jesus, right? It's referring to the Word. Jesus is not named yet, so, but it's He was in the world, the cosmos, and though the world was made through Him, the world did not recognize Him. This is the irony here of the fact that if all things are made through you and you know everything intimately, and yet that relationship is not reflected back. The irony here is pretty strong. Verse 11, he came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. And here what the own is broad, right? And John does this a lot with a lot of symbolism. It could refer to his own being the Jewish people, right? That could qualify as his own. Or his own could be the human race, right? That could qualify as his own. Or his own could be the entire created order of the universe, the whole thing. Whatever it means, John's not specific, right? It sort of lends itself to capturing all of those things. So he came to his own, but his own, whoever that is, did not recognize him. Verse 12, sorry. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. So this is the payoff, right? So his own did not recognize him, but there are some, right? There are a few who do receive him, right? His own did not receive him, but those who did, so there's sort of a subset there, he gave the right to become children of God. And then it continues, verse 13, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will. That's how mine translates that, but born of God. Husband's will, that's kind of a funny way to put it. But that sense of natural descent, DNA or blood, I know some translations say not by flesh or not by blood, but by God, right? Born of God. Whatever this is, what does it mean to be born of God? Again, this is put out there, and it's always a little mysterious, right? It's not well defined what it means to be born of God, but it evokes this spirit, right? The Spirit of God somehow gives birth, and this is a theme we'll hear many times later, especially in in chapter 3 when Jesus talks to Nicodemus. All this birth language is there too. So being born of God, born of God's Spirit. And then the big one, verse 14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. This is the payoff, right? Word became flesh and dwelt among us. You see that a reference point for many, many people. They reference this verse. To me, the two important words in this verse are he made his dwelling, or he dwelt among us. And that word to dwell has the same sense, has the word like tabernacle. And the Jewish tabernacle was the place where God met the people in the wilderness. There was a tent that they built. So there was a big tent for meeting, and then there was a smaller tent where Moses or a priest would meet with God, God's presence. That's the tabernacle. That's the dwelling that this is referencing subtly with the word to dwell. And this is another theme that gets carried forward through John's gospel. This he dwelt among us, like dwelling in the tent of the tabernacle that God dwelt with his people in the wilderness. So that's what it evokes here. It's a nice image. When he becomes flesh, it's like he puts on this tent, right? Made his dwelling here. And then the word glory, we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only. The word is doxa in Greek. And I'm just getting, I've got too many things going on. I think I'll pick up with 14 next time because I see that the video's coming quick here. I'm going to stop it there, and then on the next video I'll pick up 14 and talk a little bit more about glory. So we'll stop here and do whatever part 2, part 3, whatever it is next time. All right, bye.